My real good friend, Leigh Steinberg, is the chairman and CEO of Steinberg Sports Entertainment, one of the most influential agents in sports history, and widely created and credited as the real life inspiration for Jerry Maguire across more than 4 decades. He's represented over 60 first round NFL draft picks, including a record 8 number 1 overall selections. Hall of Fame clients Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Warren Moon, and others. He pioneered the model of athlete driven philanthropy. By the way, this should be number 1, not number 3, because it's huge, requiring clients to give back to their communities. Leading national voice on concussion awareness and brain health for decades. At SEICon 3, the ecosystem anchors the Leigh Steinberg Health, Brain, and Longevity Summit. The conference is home for regenerative medicine, athlete recovery, human performance, and his 30 plus years of executive convening, including his famous Super Bowl party, especially his famous Super Bowl party, is part of the event's DNA. I give you Leigh Steinberg.
Well, you see how well I can clear a room.
That's it.
So the discussion has been about the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl has become a convention of Americana. Big business, big politics, big entertainment, big sports, all assembled in one place. And it really is like a carnival village of everybody who has an interest in professional football and everyone who has an interest in American sports. So we've done a Super Bowl party for the last 39 years, and in Los Angeles, it'll be 40. And we invite people from each of those groups. We'll have the governor lead the party. We'll have the mayor lead the party. And then we do humanitarian awards, which Jen Welter got one, to try to focus on the philanthropic things that people do in the area of sports. So we give one to an owner, a general manager, a coach, a current player, retired player, to sort of put the focus on what figures in the world of pro football do to make an impact. And then we have a longevity lounge because we try to stay on the cutting edge. And there are incredible innovations that are happening in terms of giving athletes the ability to perform in critical game situations with higher sustained performance and also to rehab players quicker. So if you can get that left tackle back because he's backed up by a vastly inferior person because of his salary cap, if you can get him back 3 games quicker, that may make a major difference. And then we pick a charity. Haiti had a earthquake and people were dying from cholera from impure drinking water. And so we sent a water machine purification system right from the party down to Haiti, and it saved the lives of 140,000 people. We've moved families and single mothers into the first homes they'll ever have. We've feeded Special Olympics and Boy Scouts and every other group, but it gives us the profile. So there's 3 to 5,000 people at this party, and it's designed to network, and amazing things come from it. And I've been working for a number of years on the issue of concussion. I had a crisis of conscience back in the 1980s because I was representing half the starting quarterbacks in football, and they kept getting hit in the head. And we would go to doctors and ask, how many is too many? What's the magic number? When should we contemplate retirement? They had no answers because the brain's the last frontier of medical research. So we held the first concussion player safety conference in 1994, and people like Troy Aikman and Steve Young and Warren Moon and Drew Bledsoe came and listened to neurologists talk about the issues, but we still were looking for the answer. And in 2006, we did a conference, and Bennett Amalu, who's the subject of the concussion movie, came and he said, I think three or more is a trigger number. And after that, you have an exponentially higher chance of Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, premature senility, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and depression. So I've called it a ticking time bomb and an undiagnosed health epidemic. So using the centrality of the Super Bowl with all the people in town, among other things, you have to know that the Super Bowl makes news because you have like 2,500, 3,000 different reporters that are down there filing stories. And after they've written two or three times about Mahomes or Brady or someone, they get to more obscure topics. So it's a great venue. If you've never been there, they have a thing called Radio Row. And Radio Row has about 120 different radio stations broadcasting. So imagine the impact of all those reporters, all those talk radio shows, all those things going out. So, from an agent's perspective, it offers the opportunity to brand at a high level because the swell of everyday football fans into this event makes it the premier event. If a player performs dramatically in this game, we now have a celebrity making machine in this country. So that same player will come off the field and go on to the morning shows, the late night talk shows, People Magazine. We have a celebrity making machine in this country. Incidentally, I just have to say, because they were on the panel, when we look at trying to put our finger on the pulse of where America is, one of the first things we look at is the USA Today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I used to represent professional TV anchors, and when you went into the newsroom, there'd be the local paper and then there'd be the USA Today, and they'd circle stories that were interesting to sort of give them that. And they're going to take that paper out of my dead, dying hands because I actually read a piece of paper and it's got print on it, and try to explain that to someone who's 16. So anyway, it's a central event. And the last thing I'll say is our practice has always been about the athlete as role model. And again, an event like that. So we ask players to go back to the high school community, set up a scholarship fund or work with the Boys and Girls Club, to go to the collegiate community and network at that level. Troy Aikman gave $1 million back to UCLA. And at the pro level, we asked them to set up charitable foundations with the leading business figures, political figures, and community leaders on an advisory board. And so we'll execute a program. So Warwick Dunn just put the 220th single mother and their family into the first home they'll ever own by making a down payment. Or Patrick Mahomes has his 15 in the Mahomies. It helps at-risk kids and kids that are suffering from illness and kids without enough material wealth to function in the society. So it's the Super Bowl. It's all about the Super Bowl. And we've just had the World Cup here, and it's probably the most popular soccer's ever been. Well, until Belgium, but it's probably the most popular it's ever been. But look at the number differential. In other words, pro football is not only the most popular sport, it's the most popular form of television and televised entertainment.
I would also say, because I know we're absolutely, Adam's going to sit on both of us if we were even go longer. I would say, we just gone through 75% of what are effectively 104 Super Bowls called the World Cup. Nothing we've ever seen before, but we compare it to that one shining event every year because, as the guys from USA Today said, it's not just a game. It is a week, 2, 3 week event that kind of redefines the industry.
It's a tribal gathering.
Yeah,
It's an
totally
assembly.
so. And I would also say at the end of this, because you'll have a chance to spend more time with Leigh. God knows you have a chance to spend more time with me, but you want to talk to Leigh. I saw some statistics from a European Deloitte study that was released last week, and they were talking about the relative increases of expenditures, and it's media and it's team values and it's all the things you'd expect, and the highest increase over the last 5-year increment by 13% is philanthropy. And I would argue that one of the main reasons that is because we have friends and people like this not only suggesting but demanding philanthropy. And that's one of the biggest things the industry does. So you'll spend more time with Leigh. You'll, God knows, spend less time with me. And I appreciate it, and have a good next panel. Ah, hi.